Hey, what's up guys, this is Worse, and I'm here with my top 10, or well, not top 10, top 15 favorite movies of all time. Now, I guess you could call this another big video of mine, because I plan to go into quite a bit. Now, what you guys may not know is the fact that I've wanted to do this video ever since the channel started. I've been wanting to do this from the beginning just because I was thinking like, hey, my channel is going to be about movies. Maybe I should give insight into what actually are my favorite movies. And this should give further insight into why I probably react in Worse Reacts the way I do, why I review movies how I do, like my likes and preferences and dislikes. I'm also probably going to throw in like my dislikes in here, just little by little, just further information about what I like. As a warning, on a lot of these, I'm probably going to sound like a broken record. A lot of these movies are nostalgic to me. Nostalgia is so close to my heart in every way, with everything from like commercials to movies to shows. I love every single thing nostalgic and from my childhood everything that I love has impacted me until today. And that's going to be very true with this first movie on my list. Number 15, Groundhog Day, 1993. This movie has, like, it's so cool. It's just a cool little movie. Not every movie has to be action, adventure, all this stuff. Really what you need to please me is like Bill Murray in a bizarre situation. That's really what this movie is. It's fantastic. To be honest, a lot of these movies are going to be on a lot of people's favorite movie list, and I really do not. That's the last thing I want to be, is cliched. But I'm going to try to mix it up in this list just a little bit. You may not see it that way, but this is my honest list. I've given this so much thought over the years, and this is what it is. I mean, Groundhog Day, I love it, and it was a huge part of my childhood, as weird as it may sound. It's like, Ryan, some animated movie, would that be... A lot of animated movies haven't stuck with me as much as you might think. A lot of live action stuff from my past has stuck with me the most. I don't know what it is. I think it's like something broken in me or something, but nevertheless, they're still great movies. And all of these movies I have revisited recently. I made sure to do that before this video.
Punxsutawney Phil.
That's right, woodchuck chuckers. It's Groundhog Day! Get up and kick that hog out there! Yeah!
Ooey, come here, Groundhog.
Alright, next up, number 14. Guardians of the Galaxy, 2014. Basically, this is not nostalgic to me at all. This is brand new, basically. But this, really, just the fact that it's even getting on this list, along with the next movie, is so monumental. Like, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is amazing to me. What they have accomplished, what they can do. They have turned comic book movies completely around from the 90s and early 2000s crap, bull crap, not all of it's crap, but yeah, it's all crap. Marvel, with this movie in particular, you did everything right. Group dynamic, casting, music, you got it all correct. I wanted to do a Worse Reviews when this came out. Why didn't I? This is an amazing film. I am telling you, from me to you, this is amazing. Go watch it if you haven't already. What are you doing not having watched Guardians of the Galaxy yet? That's mind-boggling if you haven't.
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter.
Next up, number 13, The Avengers, 2012. This film, I really have all the same things that I said about Guardians. If you remember, that was actually my first review.
Welcome to Worst Reviews. Hey, that sounds kind of good.
It's what kind of sort of started Worst Reviews. I was like, whoa, this is movie year. Yes, I gotta review all these movies. They're amazing. And that's almost kind of like this year. I cannot wait for this year of movies, man. This is gonna be amazing. The only advantage that the Avengers has over Guardians is everyone had a movie before it. That's not really fair to say, but Guardians, you came right here without having movies for everyone. That's how right Guardians got it. But Avengers, you have a special place in my heart. I could almost quote all of it from what me and Trav discussed, like me and him can, and Marvel, you have made an amazing universe. I cannot wait to see what else that you're coming up with, because amazing things are to come with superhero movies in general. I love superhero movies. It's my thing. And the Avengers, you've held this spot on the list for so long. You might go up. Who knows? But man, Marvel, you did it. You got it right.
What have I to fear?
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Sort of like a team. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
Yes, I've met them.
All right, next up we got Inception, 2010. Yeah, basically this is Christopher Nolan's magnum opus. In my opinion, a true masterwork of a movie. I know that he spent 10 years or something like that writing it, don't quote me on that, to get every detail perfectly for making this movie. This was something he really, really felt passionate about doing. And you can feel it in this movie. You can feel it all. With Inception, what I love the most is the fact that it was open-ended. A lot of Christopher Nolan's work is kind of cryptic, open-ended. I wouldn't count out the Batman films, like the Dark Knight series, but he still has those awesome elements with all of his movies that I've just loved for a while. That being said, I want to take this opportunity to mention Interstellar. Now, I didn't really review it in Worst Reviews, because sometimes in Worst Reviews, and I kind of mentioned this in my Vampire's Kiss review, that if I have something negative to say about it, I usually don't do a Worst Reviews on it. Like if I have a lot of negatives to say on it, that's kind of silly, I know. Like maybe I should do more Worst Reviews and then just bash whatever movie, but I simply just don't like bashing film. That's not my thing. There's something about doing that I don't like. But Interstellar, of all things, I just wish could have been done a lot better. There are so many elements to it that just bother me. It should have ended just open-ended. And I won't give any spoilers because that's not what this is about, but it should have really just stopped. And length usually doesn't bother me about a film, but for Interstellar, it just kind of did. I'm sorry, Nolan, you're an amazing filmmaker. You work with film. You are born to make movies. That is your thing. I love it. But just looks don't carry a movie. It's got to have a solid story, solid characters, and Interstellar I felt was just so lacking, it's unreal. And I'm probably going to get hate for saying that, because I mentioned to a lot of people when it first came out my blunt opinion. I simply did not like it. And sorry, this became a rant about that, but Inception, almost a near perfect movie, I'm telling you. Next up, The Dark Knight, 2008. Nolan, you made the list again. Only because this movie is so memorable. Beyond I can't exactly quote every line. It's not really like that, but it's more like amazing character, amazing story, amazing visuals. It has it all. Christopher Nolan, like I said, you were born to make movies, and why not do your own Batman trilogy? Another series that turned comic book movies completely around, and probably the Marvel Cinematic Universe would not have really happened. Maybe it would have, but this certainly helped. Dark Knight changed everything about film, not just comic book movies. It changed almost how all the movies looked and felt and look and feel, and just a monumental film. No question, the best Batman film to date. I can't say much about, the new Batman vs. Superman, which I honestly have mixed feelings about, if you could probably tell, except for the final trailer, that was amazing. And the new, Ben Affleck Batman solo film, I'm not really sure where that's gonna go, but that sounds pretty cool. But so far, the best Batman movie to date. And yes, for the record, I love the 1989 Batman a lot, and the 1966 Adam West Batman a lot. So don't even tell me different.
Little Gamble here won't be able to get a nickel for his grandma.
Enough from the clown!
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
Now that we're getting a little further down the list, Back to the Future 2, 1989. This is really, really a nostalgic trip from this point. Just forgive me if I sound like a broken record, but I mentioned that at the beginning. I don't want to sound cliched or like that, but it's probably gonna happen. But Back to the Future 2, man. This movie, it's not my favorite out of the Back to the Future series, but I'm almost willing to bet that this series is probably my favorite of all time. And that's saying a lot. But no other film in history, for me, has mixed sci-fi and comedy so perfectly. I laugh at every little thing in this movie. Along with my uncle, me and my Uncle Doug, from here on out, are basically our collective favorite movies. It just has had a special place in my heart for so long. This and Back to the Future 3. I've loved these movies my whole life. They were some of the first I watched on VHS. And, they have just this charm to them that, even now, as I'm sitting here, I'm like, I want to make a movie like that. Right there.
Hey, Doc, you better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Alright, guys, let's get further down into the top 10. Number 9, The Incredibles, 2004. Yes, I've given this a lot of thought. Favorite animated movie of all time. This movie just gets everything right. Brad Bird, you made some gems in the past, but this is your gem. I really wish I could put it into words, family dynamic, casting, characters, story. This has got it all. Music, score, this has got it all. This is such a memorable film from Pixar. Shout out to Pixar, you're amazing with everything you do. Not everything, but what an accomplishment of a film. This is pretty nostalgic. It's one of the first movies I saw in theaters as a kid. Yeah, kill me for not going to the movies sooner as a kid, but I just wasn't allowed. This and Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo almost made this list. It'd probably be like number 16. Incredibles mixes action, adventure, it has it all, man. And Finding Nemo, that's a touching story, but I'm sorry, action and adventure is just, and explosions are just gonna win me over. I'm sorry, but Pixar, you got something gold.
Honey!
What?
Where's my super suit?
What?
Where is my super suit?
Alright, number 8. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 1989. This movie I had mentioned in my Vampire's Kiss. I was just like, oh, this is one of the better movies from 1989. This movie is awesome. I loved Indiana Jones as a kid, love it now. The problem is I don't like all the Indiana Jones, or it would make one of my favorite series lists. I gotta like all the movies in the series to have it be one of my favorite series. But the thing is, with Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, action, adventure, it's got it all. These movies have it all, for me anyway. I wish I could say the same for the fourth one, and Temple of Doom, I'm sorry, I've just never liked. Even as a kid, loving Indiana Jones and wanting to watch all the movies, Temple of Doom just never did a thing for me. And that's just my opinion. 4 was like, I mean, people say it's like the most horrendous thing ever made because of this and that. I thought it was kind of cool. Everyone coming back and returning. Come on, guys. I mean, it may have not been the strongest story, the strongest whatever, but don't bash it like people love to bash it. I could never do that.
Who gives a damn what you think?
But anyway, with Last Crusade, action, adventure, and Sean freaking Connery, just that reason alone almost is what made the list.
What? Trust me.
Alright, further down the list. Number 7, Jurassic Park. 1993. An amazing feat in filmmaking, and I don't say that lightly because these effects still hold up. Like, a lot of them. Like, technically, I mean, yeah, they're special effects, but they're not. The CGI doesn't hold up that well. Well, yeah, a lot of it actually holds up pretty well still. But, this movie, as a kid, this is another super nostalgia trip for me. This got me loving dinosaurs for years and years and years, like, in a row as a kid. And I just, sadly, you know, I was always geared up to watch 2 and 3, and 2 and 3, no thanks. Just no thanks. I mean, 3 has almost a special place in me and Trav's heart. I'll include Trav in this. For, you know, I mean, it's okay, but don't ever compare it to Jurassic Park. Like, but Jurassic World I really like, just for the record. A lot of people don't really like it that much. I was kind of surprised to hear that, but I mean, I think it deserves to like be one of the highest grossing movies of all time. Like, I mean, it's really cool. I won't spoil it, but like, you know, a little callback to the first movie. I love it. I loved it. So, Jurassic Park, you're awesome.
Dr. Grant, my dear Dr. Sattler, welcome to Jurassic Park.
All right, number 6. Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Now, you may remember one other, like, guy reviewing this. Star Wars Episode 7, Return of the Jedi. Only an idiot wears a Razorback shirt. I love this movie. Everything about it, everything Star Wars except for the prequels is amazing. And Force Awakens was amazing. I mean, you know what my review on that was. I mean, seeing it more times, like, I'm starting to see a lot more of the problems with it, but heck, Return of Star Wars, the original trilogy, yes. Yes. But Star Wars Episode 6, I mean, this is fantastic. Star Wars has such a special place in my heart. It was also, along with Back to the Future, the Back to the Future series, one of the first things I ever watched on VHS as a kid, and it just stuck with me. Especially New Hope. That beginning still sticks with me. Just the first ever memory of it is just right here. This is filmmaking at its best, at its peak. Right here. That ending, that's the most touching thing in film history for me. Just that whole ending. And Lucas, what happened? What happened?
Go, my son. Leave me.
No, you're coming with me. I'll not leave you here. I've got to save you.
You already have.
Number 5, getting near the end here, Raiders of the Lost Ark. 1981. This is another movie that's extremely predictable at this point. I don't care. You know, I'm going to stop talking about predictability because I don't care. These movies mean too much to me to just simply be like, oh, I'm not going to be whatever. I'm going to avoid those. Nope, they're going on my list because they're amazing. Raiders of the Lost Ark, you did your job as a kid for making me love Indiana Jones. And Harrison Ford, you're one of my favorite actors. No question. Even your old self is just equally as awesome in a whole new way. Like, awesome. Action and adventure blended perfectly. And of course, you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark does have a romance between him and Marion, but like, I mean, even that's done really well. It's not forced. I don't like forced romances in movies. That's just not my thing. I don't like that. I don't want that. But for this movie, you know, it was an attempt at, like, kind of like with Star Wars, it was kind of an attempt to bring back the serial movies of the 40s with, you know, Spielberg and Lucas collaborating, and I love it all. But hey, anything to make your movie memorable. That's one reason all these movies are on here, is they're extremely memorable. And gosh, I love film.
Whiskey?
Alright, number 4. Back to the Future, 1985. What a movie. I can, when it comes to the characters of Marty and Doc, I still have theories about it. I still think about them. I still like treat all of it as if it really happened almost. Like, great storytelling. Time travel is awesome. Every movie should have a time traveling DeLorean. That's my opinion. And every movie should have the Ferris Bueller twist and shout scene. But that's beside the point. Basically, my favorite movie of my favorite franchise. What else can you say? What? You guessed it. another movie of one of my favorite franchises, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. Yeah, you may have guessed it. I'm a one-track mind when it comes to film, apparently. But just to say that I have, you know, all this on my list, like, and I wish these movies could be higher. Star Wars, you have a very special place in the heart. I know every line, every sound effect, everything. We're like brothers. But I love every element of all of them. But 5 just has the most elements I like. It just so happens to have the most. And they're a marvel of filmmaking. Like I said that about all these movies on the list, I guess, but this movie truly is. This is Lucas becoming a genius and putting together this story. I know he wasn't the director of 5 and 6, but it's still Lucas's story, and I love it all except for the prequels. Down to the final 2, and I'll also throw in some honorable mentions after this, but Monty Python and the Holy Grail, 1975. Wow, this movie I wish could be more nostalgic to me, because it would probably be number 1 if it was. But I didn't recently find out about this movie. I just kind of like, it went under my radar for so long. I had heard about it, and I was just like, what? Monty Python? What? And I did watch the other movies, and they are nowhere near as good. They are not in the same league. But Monty Python, it's a comic masterpiece. I've written, count them, 2.5 essays about this movie because I love it so much. But it's just comedy mixed with not only story but filmmaking. It's just married, and every bit of this is just hilarious and addicting to look at. It's like your classic medieval adventure film, but made totally airplane style or something. Oh man, this movie, I wish it could be more nostalgic to me. I wish, because it would be just, it's a shame it's not going on number 1, but my number 1 is staying. It's sticking. It's firmly there. It's fantastic. It's the best. It's the peak. It's the magnum opus of my life. But we'll get to that in a second.
Between our quests we seem to invest and impersonate Clark Gable. It's a busy life in Camelot. I have to push the Pramalot.
On second thoughts, let's not go to Camelot. It is a silly place.
Now, before I get to number 1, I'm going to do some honorable mentions. Pixar. I almost love everything. Almost. So close. So close. But, just WALL-E. Up. Finding Nemo. Cars, to an extent. I grew up with Cars just a little bit. I mean, it's not as special in my heart, but, I love Cars quite a bit. And Bug's Life. Monsters, Inc. I love just about everything. Pixar, you're really awesome. Enough said. Alright, one more honorable mention. Kung Fu Panda. Man, if a series ever did anything right, and especially an animated series, it was this. If this series was a little more nostalgic to me, it's just a little too new. Oh man, it'd be one of my favorite series of all time. Kung Fu Panda 3, why didn't I do a worse reviews? I still probably could. It's pretty new still, but Kung Fu Panda 3 or 1, all of them are amazing in their own ways. It's not like a repeat of same. Like, it's actually turning a story into something more. Like it's a huge arc. I love it. I love it. Jack Black, you're amazing. All the casting, all the music, all the story, all the group dynamic. I love group dynamic in a film, and this is what has it. This is amazing. And Dustin Hoffman as Master Shifu, you were the greatest. You're one of my favorite actors, Dustin Hoffman. I need to see all your movies and everything you're in, because you're great. On to number 1. This is one of those movies I'm sure changed the landscape of film. If it didn't, then shame on film. It's a mad world. 1963. I happen to share this opinion with somebody, like the AVGN, Angry Video Game Nerd.
I'm not gonna do anything stupid. It's just a movie. It's not worth it. But this scene is definitely one of those sort of sacred ground, holy spots for film fans.
As weird as it is to bring him up at this point, but it's weird. He said, hey, it's my favorite movie of all time, and I'm like, well, okay. Like, I share that with somebody. That's awesome. Somebody has amazing taste in filmmaking. This movie, I sound like a broken record, but it has it all. But what the other movies do not have are its sense of humor, its special sense of humor that at least me and my uncle have always got. Ever since I was a kid, I was addicted to watching this movie, and it's a good 3 hours in length. Actually, the Blu-ray new release is actually 2.5 hours, which I was kind of disappointed in, because it's like, keep it 3 hours, guys. What do you do? All the characters, group dynamic, music, casting, all the actors in the movie were very, very, very famous at the time. And it's like, well, yeah, now they're famous to me because of this movie. And every time one of the actors are in another movie, I'm like, yes, they were associated. So it's I call it Mad World for short. It's the crowning achievement, like, of my favorite. It makes no sense. If you haven't seen it, and probably not many people have heard of it, probably everyone's heard of it, I don't know. Just go out and see it right now, please, because you're missing out. You're missing life as you know it, and you're missing a life change. This is a life-changing movie, or at least it should be, kind of like Monty Python, Holy Grail. That's pretty life-changing, but not as much as this movie, so go watch it right now, because you haven't, and I know you haven't, and I know who hasn't watched it.
Oh, take it easy, honey. These things happen, you know.
Now, what kind of an attitude is that? These things happen. They only happen because the whole country is just full of people who, when these things happen, they just say, these things happen, and that's why they happen.
And that's my list. Top tip 15. Favorite movies of all time. I really hope you enjoyed. I've really wanted to do this list ever since my channel started, and that's the truth. And I loved doing this for you guys. This was amazing. I love you guys, and this video has gone on for way longer than I thought it would, but heck, my favorite stuff, I'm gonna tell you my favorites. Thank you so much for watching, guys. The support has been unthinkable, like, especially compared from me going from nothing to even this. I mean, this isn't very big, it's even still, but I never planned to even get this far. So, thanks, guys. I mean, the motivation you guys are giving me just from being you and subbing and commenting here and there, that's given me the motivation to be like, man, I'm going to do this video. I'm just going to do this video. I'm going to wake up one day and say my top 15 favorites. And before, I probably wouldn't have had the motivation or energy to do it. But you guys being you, that's all I can ask. And thank you so much.
Let's try not to get upset.
Come on, Russ.